Hello and warm regards from Next Rise team. Welcome to another episode of Daily News Analysis. Today is 30 December. Let's see the topics that we are going to cover today. The first topic is from the economics, that is gross NPAs of the bank have fallen to multi-decade low of 2.1%. A very good news from the banking sector. The second topic we are having is INSV Kaundinya set sail for Oman. So we are going to see the cultural significance of this particular topic. The third one is note to translocate Botswana cheetahs likely in January-February. So we are translocating cheetahs from Botswana to the Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh. Then 55 tigers dead in MP this year, highest since Project Tiger launched over 50 years. So we are going to dwell into what are the reasons for this high death rate of the tigers. Then last topic we are having is industrial growth rises to 6.7% in November, highest in the last 2 years. And in October itself, the IIP growth rate was very low. So this is again a good news for the Indian economy. So let's start with the first topic. The first topic that we are having is from the economics, that is the banking sector. The topic is non-performing assets have fallen to a very low level, that is of 2.1%. So the backdrop here is the RBI's trend and progress report, which is showing that the bank assets have shown a quality improvement. Now relevance again is GS paper 3, economics, banking sector. So what's the news? The news is that the asset quality of the banks have continued to improve in 2024-25. If we compare, in March 2024, there were 2.7% gross NPAs. It fell down to 2.2% in March 2025, and the recent report shows the gross NPAs have fallen down to 2.1%. Now there are two terms. One is gross NPA and another term that you are going to come across is net NPA. So what is the difference between the gross NPA and the net NPA? Gross NPA, as the word gross means that it is the whole, whatever is the whole quantity that we talk about is gross NPA. For example, the gross NPAs can be 2 lakh crore. So this term is known as gross NPA. Now, every bank is having provisions. Provisions means that out of profits, the banks are going to keep some 2 to 3%. Just I am taking a hypothetical figure. For example, some 2 to 3% amount they are keeping, that if any NPA comes, they are going to cover that NPA from that profit part. That is known as provisions. So, after reducing the provisions from this gross NPA, we get the net NPA. So नेट एनपीए का मतलब क्या है? ग्रॉस एनपीए से प्रोविजंस को माइनस करने के बाद जो टर्म आएगी दैट विल बी नोन एज नेट एनपीएस. So the trend here is that the gross NPAs are falling down. That is a very positive news for the banking sector. If we compare the last 10-15 years NPAs, the trend is like this. In 2010-11 it was 2.2% and it started risingly very sharply and reached to a peak of 11.2% in 2017-18. After that, it has been showing a consistent decrease and it is now at 2.2% in 2024. And the recent figure is showing it is 2.1%. So after a very high NPA, we have now been able to reduce it to 2.1% or a very minimum level in the last multi-decades. Now, next part that comes is that the net NPA, we have already talked about the net NPA. What is net NPA? It is gross NPA minus provisions. Provisions क्या होती है? Provision is that amount of the profit which is kept by banks to cover the NPAs. So, gross NPA से after reducing the provisions, we are going to get net NPA. Net NPA का जो value है, it is 0.5%. in September 2025. The ratio remains unchanged from March 2025, indicating stability at low levels. उसके बाद आता है कि what is the absolute value of the gross NPAs that we are having, यानी those loans which are defaulting. So if you talk about 2024-2025, the gross NPAs were 4.32 lakh. उससे पहले 2023-24 में it was 4.81 lakh crore. So it is again showing percentage wise भी absolute terms wise भी दोनों ही terms में gross NPAs have been decreasing. Next part is that what is the situation with respect to private and the public banks. For example, public sector banks, Earlier gross NPA was 3.5%, now it is 2.6%. For private banks it was 1.9%, now it is 1.8%. For foreign banks it is 1.2% too, and now it is 0.9%. And for small financial banks there is an increase. So for all these three, public sector bank, private sector banks as well as foreign banks, the NPAs have decreased. But the concern here is about the small financial banks. In the small financial banks, the NPAs are showing an increase. It has increased by 1.2%. So the situation has worsened for this small finance bank. That is one trend that we should be knowing about. Now next part is what are the drivers why we are seeing a low NPAs. So 42.8% of decline in the NPAs during 2024-25 was driven by the recoveries of the bad loan as well as upgradation of the stressed account. So these are the two reasons due to which the NPAs have declined. Now next part is slippage ratio. What is slippage ratio? Slippage ratio का मतलब ये है कि the new NPAs that have been created. So it is defined as the measure that rate at which fresh loans turn into NPAs during a given period. So it is the fresh NPAs that are created due to a loan that is known as slippage ratio. And the mathematical formula is slippage ratio is equal to fresh NPAs during a year divided by standard advances at the beginning of the year. तो जितने NPA बने divided by कितना लोन हमने दिया, तो that is known as slippage ratio. So the figure for the data for the slippage ratio is the slippage ratio declined from the fifth consecutive year. It was 1.4% at the end of March 2025. Second part is the slippage ratio has declined for both private as well as public sector banks. So दोनों ने ही private और public sector bank ने इसमें अच्छा perform किया है. Now next part is share of the standard assets. Standard asset का मतलब क्या है? Standard asset का मतलब ये है कि those loans which are being timely repaid, उनमें कोई concern नहीं है. So the proportion of the standard assets in total advances of the SSB has increased. That means standard assets timely payments have increased. 97.7% was at the end of March 2025. अगर उसको एक साल पहले compare करें तो it was 97.2%. So there has been an increase in the well performing, or the technical term is standard assets, जहाँ पे the repayment of the loan is on the timely basis. There is no concern regarding a default. Then improvement is driven by public sector bank as well as the foreign banks. तो इसकी हमें we don't need this much, only this is enough for us. Now next part is the standard assets क्या होता है? The definition is there. Standard assets are loans and advances that are performing normally and do not show any signs of default or credit stress. That means there are timely repayments according to the loan schedule. Now next part is large borrowers account. Large borrower account का मतलब ये है कि the accounts which the borrowing which is more than 5 crores is known as large borrowers account. So it has remained broadly stable at 43.9% at the end of March 2025. Now next part we are having a special mention account. Now the special mention account is the first stage after which a loan will be considered as a NPA. If there are concerns of the payment, that means अगर late payment होता तो these accounts are considered as special mention account. That means you need to focus upon those accounts. So there is a decline that has been observed in the SMAs or the special loan accounts. The SMA1 ratio increased from during 2024-25 mainly due to the public sector banks. Now एक बार हम देखते हैं कि what are these SMAs and how they are different from the NPAs. So first of all, special mention account. If the payment, the principal or interest, if the loan payment is getting delayed for 30 days, it will be considered as SMA 0, यानी special mention account 0. Then second is SMA 1. अगर payment 31 से 60 days के बीच में delay हो तो that is known as SMA 1. For example, today is 30th December and just assume that 2nd January को there will be a loan payment and that is getting delayed by 30 days. So for 30 days it will be considered as SMA 0. If after 30 days also for consecutive 60 days the payment is not made, then the account will be considered as SMA 1. उसके बाद अगर 90 days तक ना हो तो it will be considered as SMA 2. So 30 days tak SMA 0, SMA 1, then SMA 2. So for 90 days, we are going to consider an account which is not doing repayments of the loan as special mention account. Now after that, after this 90-day time period, they will be considered as NPAs or non-performing assets. So for non-performing asset, the first one is substandard asset. If the loan payments are not being done properly for 12 months, then it will be known as substandard asset. अगर 12 महीने के बाद भी पेमेंट नहीं आता लोन का, तो it will be considered as doubtful asset, that is NPAs for more than 12 months. Now lastly, अगर ऐसा होता है कि बैंक feels कि the payment is not going to come, the person has defaulted, then it will be considered as loss assets. The possibility of recovery of the loan is nil in this case. So I hope you have understood what is the difference between SMA and how it gets converted into NPAs. I am again repeating it. पहले SMA होगा, अगर फर्स्ट 30 डेज के लिए या 1 मंथ के लिए लोन पेमेंट में डिले होता है तो इट इज SMA 0, अगर 2 मंथ्स का डिले है तो SMA 1, 3 मंथ्स का डिले है तो SMA 2. After that, after 90 days or after 3 months, it will come under the category of NPAs or non-performing assets. उसके अंदर भी up to 12 months it will be considered as substandard asset. उसके बाद it will be considered as doubtful asset. And if the bank feels the recovery is not possible, then it will be considered as lost asset. You can, if you want to take a pic, you can take the picture of this one. You can take the screenshot if you want. Now next, your turn. You have to attempt this MCQ and you have to post your answers in the comment box. Chalo, let's move to the second topic now. The second topic we are having is INSV Kaundinya. Now this INSV is a indigenously developed ship and it is having no mechanical parts. So mechanical parts means कि machinery वगैरह इसके अंदर नहीं है. It is being run through the sails. जो हम traditionally ships को जैसे हम sail किया करते थे. So INSV Kaundinya is an indigenously built traditional sailing vessel of the Indian Navy embarked on her maiden overseas voyage, and this particular vessel is going to go from Porbandar to Muscat in Oman. So the news here is that it is an indigenously built traditional stitched vessel and the voyage will commence from Porbandar, Gujarat and will go to Muscat, that is Sultanate of Oman. So ये कहाँ से जाएगी? It will be going from here. Here is Porbandar and it will go to Muscat. Muscat यहाँ पे है. Now when we are talking about this thing, एक होता है इसका जो हमें पढ़ना INS कौंडिन्य के बारे में कि ये कहाँ से हमने शिप लिया, इसकी इंस्पिरेशन कहाँ से आई. The second part here is about the mapping part, because mapping here is also important and I will tell you why. First of all, Oman. What is the location of Oman? This is Oman. It is between Arabian Sea and the Persian Gulf on that side, और यहाँ पे we are having Oman Gulf or Gulf of Oman. So this we are having is the Oman. Oman, one important part here is State of Hormuz. यहाँ पे ऊपर वाला portion, this upper portion is also of Oman. So the State of Hormuz is between Iran and Oman. This you should be knowing. And recently, because there were attacks on Iran, there were conflict between Iran and Israel. तो उसकी वजह से State of Hormuz becomes important for us. Second part is यहाँ पे Arabian Sea है. Now this is the location of Muscat, that is the capital city of Oman. उसके अलावा you should be knowing that here it is Gulf of Oman, here it is Persian Gulf, and Oman is situated between Gulf of Oman and the Arabian Sea. So this basic you should be knowing about. Now next part that comes is about the ship INS Kaundinya. It is built during using the traditional stitched shipbuilding technique, constructed with natural material and methods dating back centuries. So जो हमारी पुरानी टेक्नोलॉजी होती थी शिप बिल्डिंग की, हम उसको इसमें यूज कर रहे हैं. It is inspired by the historical sources and iconographic evidences. Now, if we talk about what are the historical sources here, the historical sources here include this cave painting, cave 17 painting from the Ajanta caves. In the Ajanta caves, this cave painting is there. So from that, we have taken the inspiration for this INSV Kaundinya. Now, it marks the historical milestone in India's effort to revive and celebrate the ancient maritime heritage. Representing India's living voyage aimed at understanding the traditional seafaring practices. That is the basic objective here is to know कि जो हम पहले हमारी जो activities होती थी sea के अंदर उसको हमें revive करना है, traditional roots को हमें retrace करना है. Now if we talk about India and Oman कि उसके लिए इसकी क्या significance है, तो it is having a historical and cultural significance. Voyage recalls the historical trade and cultural exchange between the two countries. Then second is it highlights deep-rooted civilization ties between Gujarat and Oman because दोनों close by हैं. It emphasizes sustained maritime interactions between the two regions over the centuries. तो हमारा जो ओमान के साथ relation that is not new. It is a very old connection that we are having, and through these initiatives, India is trying to revive. India is trying to reconnect with the Arabian world. The strategic and diplomatic importance, it is expected to strengthen India-Oman bilateral relation because ये कहीं ना कहीं soft power का काम करता है. When we are having people-to-people connect, it is going to help enhance the people-to-people connect between India and Oman. It reinforces shared maritime heritage and people-to-people ties, symbolizes enduring bond of friendship, mutual trust and respect. Now, this was about India and Oman and about the INSV Kaundinya. It's your turn. Attempt this MCQ and post your answers in the comment box. And let's move to the third topic. Now, the next topic we are having is Project Cheetah. The backdrop for this particular topic is that we are translocating Botswanan cheetahs to India, and the process will be completed by January-February. The relevance is Ecology, GS Paper 3, Ecology and Environmental Conservation. Now, if we talk about this particular news, the particular news is relevant because we are translocating 5 African cheetahs from Botswana, which are currently in quarantine, and the process will be completed by January-February. Now, what is the backdrop for this particular process? There was a state visit of Indian President to Botswana in November 2025. In that particular state visit, it was decided that 5 African cheetahs will be translocated to India. So, that particular decision was taken in November 2025. And it is expected by January-February, the process will be completed. Now, why we are translocating African cheetahs to India? We are translocating because we do not have any cheetah or indigenous cheetah in India. Last cheetah was seen in 1952, after which it was hunted down. So, after 1952, there has been no cheetah in India. And to revive the cheetah population in India, we started the Project Cheetah. It was first of all visualized in 2009, but after Supreme Court's note in 2022, this Project Cheetah was actually started. In Project Cheetah, what we are doing is that we are translocating cheetahs from Botswana, Namibia and South Africa to India. So, that is the process that we are doing to bring in the cheetah population in the country. Now, for this, we have identified two locations. The main location is the Kuno National Park, and the other location is the Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary. If we see the location of the Kuno National Park is located here, and Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary, it is located in this region. So, you should be knowing the location of these two particular wildlife sanctuary as well as national park. These are important for us, location wise also. Now, next part is that what are the various legal provisions that from which we have to go through. The international legal provision is about the CITES, that is Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, and the requisite approvals will be taken from the Department of Animal Husbandry for the post-arrival of the quarantine process. So, these are the two legal provisions that we are having for the cheetah population. And these locations you should be knowing. One is Kuno National Park, the second one is Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary. The next part is about Botswana. So, if we see Botswana, its location is in the South Africa, the South African region. Now, if we see in detail the South African location, the location of this particular Botswana, it is a landlocked country between Namibia, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Zambia. So, these are the 4 countries basically: Namibia, Zimbabwe and South Africa, these 3 countries, and Zambia, which are actually connected to Botswana. And from the physical features, the Kalahari Desert is located in Botswana as well as the upper part of South Africa, that you should be knowing about. Now, with this, you have to attempt this MCQ and you have to post your answers in the comment box. The fourth topic is again from ecology and environmental conservation. The topic is Project Tiger, and the news or the backdrop here is that 55 tigers died in Madhya Pradesh alone in this year, that is in 2025. Now, if we go to the news, we find that from the past 3-4 years, the number of tiger deaths are increasing. If we see 2021, it was 34. It was 43 in 2022. It was 45 in 2023. And in 2024, it is 46. Now, 2025, the deaths are 55. So, if we are seeing that the number of deaths are increasing every year, and this data is only from Madhya Pradesh itself. Why Madhya Pradesh? Because the number of tigers in Madhya Pradesh is one of the highest, that is 785. And the increasing death trends is showing a concern that we should be taking steps why the tigers are dying and what steps should be taken. Now, if we go for the detailing part, there are two basic reasons that have been given for the deaths of the tiger. One are natural causes and another one is man-made reasons. Now, first of all, discuss about the man-made reasons. The man-made reasons is due to the animal-human conflict. What happens is that the villages that are near to these wildlife sanctuaries, they are facing the problem of that the crop are being destroyed by the wild animals. To prevent that crop destruction, what they do is that they go for electrical fencing. Now, in the electrical fencing, what happens is that they are putting the direct AC current in that, and that is of high voltage. What government recommends is that they can put solar powered DC current in those electrical fences, which can actually give a shock to the animals rather than being fatal to them. So that is one problem that we are facing. So officials estimate that 11 out of the 55 deaths are due to the unnatural causes, that is basically human wildlife and conflict or due to poaching वगैरह. Around 8 deaths were caused by electrocution only. Electrocution is a major threat because the farmers are using illegal live electrical wires to protect crops from wild boars, nilgai and other herbivores. Such fences often use direct current, lack safety cutoff and pose fatal risk to the dispersing tigers. So that is the problem that we are facing. Now next part is what are the other causes, the natural causes. The natural causes, first of all, first one is rising tiger population. जब tiger population rise करेगी तो they need more area. So that area is not there, so they are fighting among each other. So that is another reason that there is rising tiger population. There is increased territorial conflicts between them. Then age-related mortality is also increasing, and also they are being affected by the diseases. So these are the natural causes for the death of the tigers. Now next part is Project Tiger. This Project Tiger was launched in 1973, and India was the first country to launch such a project. And basically the legal mandate comes from the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. So एक साल के बाद ही हमने Project Tiger को launch कर दिया था, and it was launched by Government of India. तो ये centrally sponsored scheme है. Objective very simple है. First of all, viable population of tiger banana, because tiger is a keystone species. It is an important species to maintain the ecological balance. When we are conserving the tiger, we need to ensure that its habitat and environment is also ensured. So second objective is to protect and restore the tiger habitats and to conserve associated ecosystem and biodiversity. So these are the basic 3 objectives of the Project Tiger. Now next part is the tiger reserves. Initially we were having only 9 tiger reserves in 1973. Now we are having 50 plus tiger reserves. And tiger reserve work करता है core buffer वाले principle पे. There is a core area and there is a buffer area. In core area, no human activity is allowed. Only research part of things like that can be done and in a limited manner. In this buffer area, there can be regulated human activities. For example, cultivation हो सकता है पर conflict में नहीं आना wildlife के साथ. Second, funding pattern. It is a centrally sponsored scheme and the funding pattern is 60-40 between center and state. Hill states के लिए obviously 90-10 हो जाएगा. So that is there. Now next part is achievement. Achievement have been very good. From 1411, that was in 2006, we have now gone to the number of 3200, almost 3200 in 2022. So there has been an increase in the tiger population. India now hosts 75% of the world's wild tiger population. That is an important figure. India is having 75% of the world's tiger population. That is a good figure that we are having. Now, what are the challenges in the tiger conservation or to the tiger? First one is human wildlife conflict, already we have discussed. Then habitat fragmentation, because अब देयर हैज बीन एक्सपेंस ऑफ द अर्बन एरियाज, विलेजेस भी अब अर्बनाइज हो गए हैं, एंड द फॉरेस्ट एरिया इज नाउ डिक्रीजिंग, सो ड्यू टू दैट वी आर हैविंग हैबिटेट फ्रेगमेंटेशन प्रॉब्लम. देन लीनियर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इज नाउ डेवलपिंग, रोड्स, रेलवेज वो इनके बीच में सही जाते हैं कई बार नेशनल पार्क्स के, तो दैट इज अनदर प्रॉब्लम. देन one more problem is there, poaching and illegal wildlife trade. So these are the issues which we are facing in terms of tiger conservation. Now it's your turn to attempt this MCQ and post your answers in the comment box. Now the last topic is about the IIP. The IIP figures for November 2025 have been released, and these figures have shown that India is growing, or India's industrial sector is growing at 6.7% rate. And this rate is highest in last 2 years. To be precise, in last 25 months, we are having the highest rate. Now, if we talk about the news is very simple, that the industrial growth surged 6.7% year on year. Year on year का मतलब ये है that we are comparing it with November 2024. And if we know that there was a 14-month low in October 2025, it was 0.5%. So from 0.5% growth, now we are seeing a growth of 6.7%. Again, a very good thing for India. Now, last highest growth was in October 2023, and the rate was 11.9%. So October 2023 में it was 11.9% growth that India registered. Now after 25 months, we are having again a 6.7% growth in November 2025. Now, next part that comes is that what are the reasons for this higher growth? The first reason is that the manufacturing-led recovery. It is manufacturing sector has shown good growth, and it is basically due to the favorable base effect. Favorable base effect का मतलब कि base छोटा है तो जो भी growth होगा वो ज़्यादा दिखेगा. For example, if we take base 100 and if we take base 150, so due to a lower base, the growth rate will be higher. अक्टूबर में कम था, उस बेस इफेक्ट की वजह से we are seeing a higher growth rate. The second reason is restocking after the strong festive season. Festival season में demand was good, GST कट भी हुआ था, तो उसकी वजह से there was huge demand. जब huge demand हुई तो that means the demand is there, so supply has to be increased. So it shows that the demand that was created due to this festival season, that has actually pulled the manufacturing sector. The next is easing of the excess unseasonal rains, which have normalized the mining and the electricity activities. Now, next part is that if we compare the sector-wise performance, how the sector has performed. First one is manufacturing. It grew by 8.8%. It is the fastest in last 25 months. And if we compare with October, it was 1.8% in October. In November, it is 8%. So, पहले 1.8 था, now it is 8%. The second sector we are having is mining. Mining has again rebound and it has shown a growth of 5.4%. And mining has rebounded because of the retreating monsoon season. Monsoon के time पे mining becomes difficult. So, as the monsoon has ended, so the mining activity has again picked up. Then third one is electricity. Electricity has actually contracted. That means there has been reduction in the production of electricity, and that is basically because electricity demand हो गई कम. Demand क्यों कम हुई? Because the season now getting cooler. तो उसकी वजह से AC वगैरह की दिक्कत, AC वगैरह की requirement नहीं है. तो therefore due to that reason, it has contracted by 1.5%. Now next part that comes is that what are the various sectors in which there has been a growth. So all the 6 sectors, that is infrastructure, construction, capital goods, intermediate goods, consumer durables, consumer non-durables and primary goods have shown growth in this particular month. If we see construction and infrastructure, it has shown a growth of 12.1%. Capital goods 10.4%, intermediate goods 7.3%, consumer 10.3%, then consumer non-durables it is 7.3%, and primary goods it is 2% growth that is shown. And if you talk about the future aspect, the broader trend shows that IIP growth averaged about 3.6% between October and November 2025. That means अगर October और November का दोनों का ले हम तो average आता है हमारा 3.6%. Because जब भी हम growth को देखते हैं तो कैसे देखेंगे? It is month wise, it is quarter wise and it is yearly. तो quarter wise means 4 months. तो now we are in the third quarter. So October and November के हम दोनों की average लें तो growth is only 3.6% because in October the growth was only 0.5% और यहाँ पे आ गया 6.7%. तो average निकल गया इसका 3.6%. So it is lower than the 4.3% growth that was last year. तो year on year तो अभी हम lag कर रहे हैं. It indicates that the surge is partly base and season driven. The second is April November का अगर हम average लें from April to November 2025 अगर हम yearly की बात करें तो it is only 3.3% जो average आएगा. Now it is अगर हम compare करें last year से तो it was 4.1%. So if we draw a diagram तो October, November, this year it is 3.6. Last year it was 4.3. From April to November, it is now 3.3. Last year it was 4.1%. So still we need to cover a lot. Then lastly, core sector. Core sector is the leading sector, which is actually leading the growth story. So it is a lead indicator covering 40% of the IIP, and it has rebounded in November after some contraction in October. So that is a good thing for us. Now it's your turn. You have to attempt this MCQ and you have to post your answers in the comment box. With this, we conclude for the day. Thank you very much.